Today I'm talking to Dr. Akil Tahir. Akil is a research physician. He's an endurance athlete and he's also a chronic disease survivor. So we're in for a very, very interesting conversation. So thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me.
Thank you, Jane, for having me on your show. Love to.
Okay, so when you were aged 56, you were much less healthy and well than you are now, I think.
Much more, much more. Let me explain to you, Jane, that I wear three hats. I wear a hat of a resurgent physician, meaning that I try to treat the cause of chronic diseases like blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, rather than the consequence of the disease. Once it has happened and then treat. So that puts me in the category of a resurgent physician. Number two, I'm a heart disease survivor. So I'm on the other side of the fence. So people with heart disease can relate to me. They can understand how diet and exercise, two important things, have helped me in my life. Plus, they can learn and profit from the mistakes I've made. And the third thing is that I'm a septuagenarian endurance athlete, meaning that I can vouch for it that exercise and a proper diet can increase the performance of any sport. So those are the three hats that I wear that can help people if they read my book, because this is all in the book. Now, you mentioned about my age at 56. Even before that, throughout my adult life, Jane, I was a lover of unhealthy, rich food. I was a seafood eater, an SEE. I ate everything in sight. You name it, I've eaten it. So I love Chinese and Mexican takeaway and Italian, and on top of it, the Indian. Now you know that Indian restaurants are very many in the UK,
Mm.
but bad food, wheat is full of saturated fat, cholesterol. And if you notice, we Indians have a cultural connection with oil. We believe that it is a sign of generosity and warmth. So if you have a pot of curry and it is not layered with a big layer of oil, like the oil slick, then we are not doing justice to our guest. So with this, I also was a couch potato at that time. I was a sedentary slob. Exercise, I could not spell exercise, was exercise my eye muscles, looking at the television and seeing joggers on the television run. That was the only length of exercise that I did. And on top of it, Jane, I had a type A personality. I came late to America in my 40s, in pursuit of the American dream. I worked long hours to, uh, to do that. And finally, that giving scant attention to my personal life or my family or my health. So it was no surprise that with all this, heart disease, coronary artery disease, the vessels that pump blood to the heart came knocking at my door. And I had to have angioplasty, where they open up and put stents into your coronaries. It was 99% blocked. And it was so hard, the plaques, they had to go with a diamond cutter to break open the plaques, but I got a cardiac arrest and I had to be shocked to come back to life. Then, Jane, you would have thought I would have changed my life by now after this. I did not. I'm ashamed to say this, but I did not. I was severely depressed. I wanted to be on my own. My wife had to carry me to a psychiatrist. Sinus infections and bronchitis visited me every year. I had chronic constipation, which led to thrombotic hernias, inguinal hernias, which had to be surgerized, and I had thrombotic piles. Then I had diverticulitis, which perforated twice, and I was long stay in the hospital with IV antibiotics, and that got mouth ulcers, and it was a terrible, terrible feeling. So again, it was not a surprise that my stents failed, and I had to have an open heart surgery at the age of 61.
Yeah.
This for me. So
So,
you want to go ahead?
yeah, so age 56, angioplasty, age 61, open heart surgery. I guess the prognosis isn't very good about what the future holds for you at that stage. But you have completely turned your life around. I think we'd have to say. I mean, you're absolutely, definitely much, much healthier than you were in your 50s and before the open heart surgery. Yeah.
Right, Jane, that I started thinking, do I want to continue living this life or I want to change? So I had two options. One is to live and sort of be on my rocking chair like most of my heart patients, and then wait for the inevitable death. I could have retired and lived vicariously through my grandchild and my children and be done with it. But I did not want to do that. So the second option was to turn this setback into an opportunity. But I went a step further. I said, no, I want this ordinary to be extraordinary. I want this setback to be a triumphant comeback. And for that, I had to use every means I had. So as they were wheeling me, and this is the truth, as they were wheeling me into surgery, I don't know. There's an inflection point, a reflection point. I have no idea. I looked at the nurses and smiled and said, I'm going to do half a marathon in a year's time if all went well with my heart surgery. Of course, I smiled and but that's okay. Then when I came out of surgery, Jane, I mean, this is, how do I put it? That because of what I had undergone mind-wise, the pain of an open surgery, but it is excruciating when they cut open your chest. This pain was a pleasure because I had a goal. So I knew what I was going to do. Trust me, I did not take a single pain medication after that. No, not even what you call an anti-inflammatory. So I went around, got on a treadmill, doing a little bit on the third day of after my surgery. And then I decided, what should I take up as a physical sport? I didn't want to invest money into buying tennis rackets and golf for this thing. I said, no, that's not for me. What is the cheapest and easiest? Sneakers and shorts. The two S's, sneakers and shorts. I got the sneakers and shorts and I went on for running. Now, running, as you know, I don't know the name of the person, but somebody once mentioned that running is a classical road of self-consciousness, self-awareness, and self-reliance. And so I started my running. A guy who had not done 1 kilometer is now taking small steps. And I didn't want people to run with me. I loved running alone. It is what I call meditation in motion, where I can hear the birds sing, where I can see the rivers flow and hear that. So I ran. And then, yes, I did go to Nashville in Tennessee and did my half marathon in 8 months after my open heart surgery.
Wow.
Half grueling hours, but I felt on top of Mount Everest after I finished. There was a warning because it was thundering and storm. And in my little town in Gadsden, Alabama, I was not even had any hills. So I said, "Oh my God, I'm going to climb this hill." If you can't beat them, just join them and enjoy. And once I started enjoying, it was great. People were offering me beer and people were offering me drinks, and I was enjoying. I said, never mind, even if I don't finish it. From that point onwards, I changed my diet, became a healthier eater, but still non-vegetarian. I exercised and there was no stopping. I went to Mount Kailash, Mount Kilimanjaro, and I did triathlons and marathons. And the thing about it in my book, Open Heart, is I've done all this with a lot of fun, extremely enjoying myself doing it. So that was fantastic. And there are some humorous things in my book, which, if you have time permits, I can go ahead. But otherwise, this is the second stage of my life when everything changed. So I tried to change my diet. I became a flexitarian.
Flexitarian, yeah.
Cut back on meat, eggs, and dairy. Then I said, wait a minute, let me take off the meat. And then I said, okay, eggs and dairy. Dairy was not a problem because I was lactose intolerant. But again, 65, 70% of the people in the world are lactose intolerant. We people believe that because we get all this distension and all that, it's a normal process of growing up. It is not. If you take that into consideration, that was my part of my journey now was looking great. I was beginning to understand. I did the 19,000 feet of Mount Kailash and 19,000 plus feet in Mount Kilimanjaro. And it was now all or nothing. I just went in and exercise was extremely important, extremely important. And my trainer was with me, so I was great. Thank you to her that I could do so many things. So that is my second part of my life that I came out of it. So can I say a little bit of a humorous thing?
Yeah, do.
Well, Jane, I had no idea as to how, because in India, when you are there are, in my time, there were no swimming pools. There were 5 swimming pools in the whole of Mumbai or Bombay. And so you didn't really learn how to swim, but we knew, like, being pushed into the waters. And you can't ride a bike. Somebody's going to kill you in 5 seconds on the roads of Mumbai.
Yes.
So the idea was that I now took up a sport where I did a triathlon because I get little tired of the same sport sometimes. So I said, let me take up triathlon. So I took up a road bike. I took my son's road bike. Now, road bike is with the clip pedals that hook you up in pedals.
Mm-hmm.
This thing stands still, you're bound to fall. And so I learned with my young friends how to fall without getting hurt. That was an interesting thing. But then I said, okay, now swimming. One thing is I cannot stand cold water, period. I'm a wimp. So even in the hottest summer months, I will have a hot, warm shower. So now there was a Lake Lanier in the month of November, very cold waters here in Atlanta. I said, how do I do this? So in my excitement, I went online and got myself a wetsuit. But like a man, we all men think we know a lot. So what I did was, without reading the instructions, I went up in the bathroom up there and I put the wetsuit without putting the body glide. So I put the wetsuit on. I looked great. I said, wow, came up to the waist and it just would not go further down. No matter how hard I tried. I mean, my hair was being pulled out. I had to ask for help. And who else? My wife. I said, Nafi. Name is Nafi. I said, Nafi, I'm coming down. I need help. She looked at me and started laughing. And I said, will you please help me with this? So what she did was she put the leggings on the wetsuit and took me all over the floor like a rag doll. Just wouldn't come out. So she says, don't worry, I've got an idea. And she goes, when she says she's got an idea, I've got to be careful.
Yes.
Got a pair of scissors, cut about 5 inches or a half an inch, 6 inches of each legging, and then pulled me out from the wetsuit. So it was such a joy for both of us. We started laughing. It was kind of a great feeling to have this kind of moment where you could still laugh and have fun at my expense, but it was great.
Yes.
The next moment was that I had to go to the YMCA. And now I put on the body glide and everything, and I went to the YMCA to see if my wetsuit can prevent me from the cold. Yes, it did. But no one ever has taught or ever given in any Google or anywhere that I read that you cannot do a breaststroke with a wetsuit. I don't know other strokes. I only do breaststroke. So as a breaststroke, I was like a balloon on the water. I wasn't moving forward. So that was an end to the wetsuit story. So I said, now what do I do? For 7 days before the Lake Lanier plunge, I took ice water with ice in the bucket and poured that over me for 7 full days and got ready to jump into the Lake Lanier without the wetsuit. And I did it. And what changed? I stood second in my age group.
Wow.
Who were 6'4" and 6'3", and I was like a midget in the middle, you know. And then I come home and I get very excited and I tell my family I stood second. And my son looks at me and says, Dad, but there were only 3 people in your age group. So what? Burst my bubble, but that is okay, you know. But these are funny stories. If you eat a proper meal at about 6 o'clock, then you're almost doing an intermittent fasting when you get up in the morning and you start the routine. So eat light at supper, and then I think the last time somewhere in a podcast I talked about the blue zones. Are you aware of the blue zones?
Yeah, yeah. So there are areas in the world where people live to a great age in a healthy and happy way.
100 years without any so-called chronic diseases that we call. And the thing is that this is because of the reason that 75% of them, so 75% of their diet in the blue zones is a whole food diet. They're not vegetarians, but 75% is a whole food, plant-based diet. They exercise immensely. Weights, this, that, they all do that. And they get enough sleep. And finally, they have a network of friends and family. And last thing, which your readers, which your listeners may not accept, and I am not recommending it, but it is not mild, but they drink moderate amounts of alcohol. Now, it is not like the pub in London or the
yes,
where you are doing no exercise, you are a sedentary slob, I was, and then you're going to the pub and having your beer. No. You do all these other things, then you have a drink. It is okay by me. Last 25 years, Jane, I've been having one drink of a single malt every single day. My diet. Even my dog knows that cannot disturb me at this time.
Tell us about your book.
Well, my book is basically this is the thing. My book is Open Heart.
Yeah.
But anyway, my book is, I would like to just, uh, it is a book which is a doctor, the transformation of a doctor who, after a bypass surgery, climbed mountains, did 100-mile bike rides, and did marathons and triathlons. This book is an invitation, Jane, for the reader to experience the agony of living in an exhausted body with a long list of seemingly insurmountable problems, and how I challenge this with a healthy dose of exercise, diet, meditation, yoga, and breathing exercises. There are three main points in my book that I would like people to understand. That one is live outside your comfort zone. When I mean comfort zone, outside your comfort zone, Jane, I've written my book that it does not mean climbing mountains and doing marathons, but doing something that you're scared of, doing something that you've never done before. For example, in the COVID situation, Jane, I took up cooking and gardening. You, you, your, you guys in UK have a problem about smaller homes. There is no excuse in America. If you have a home, you have a backyard.
Yeah.
Grow your own damn food.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not of saying that do that. So you live outside your comfort zone. And that mountain climbing and all just becomes a metaphor. You can take up a chess game that you never played before, or you can play gin rummy or whatever is there that you can do which you're scared of. And remember one thing, when I jumped out of the airplane the first time, I always said this to people, that do the thing that you fear the most, and death or fear will be certain. And
Yeah.
finally, I would like to say diet, as I explained to you, is more important than exercise. And finally, adversity that I experience can either be your best friend or your worst enemy. You remember that adversity can bring out the hidden talents which you have, which under normal life or normal circumstances wouldn't have come out. So to
Yeah.
me, adversity was the greatest friend in my life. I would love people to read the book. The whole reason is you can have a heart healthy lifestyle. You can protect your hearts. Heart disease is the number one killer. And if my books sell, the thing is that there is more money coming in for the charities that my wife and I have pledged to, like the PETA for animals, St. Jude's for children, and the Heart Association. So I want this the message of heart healthy message to really travel far and wide. As I think I told somebody, I don't remember who it was. I said my wife for the last 3 months, because of my book, I've been so preoccupied in promoting my book that she felt a little bad, and she told me the other day that you're forever like you're married to your book. What about? And I turned around and I don't know what happened to me. I said, you know what, Nafi, heart disease is the leading cause of death. I promise you, the day it becomes number two, I will be all yours.
We could go on talking for hours and hours and hours and hours, and but inevitably we need to stop. So I've really enjoyed it. I think you're a wonderful example of healthy aging. So thank you very much for agreeing to talk to me.
Loved it. Love your smile and love the way you got me comfortable. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.